There were 4 police cars traveling along. One of the cars contained a criminal. The female police officer, Hell, who sat next to the criminal, saw that he looked confused and nervous. Then she asked to stop by the side of the road. Hell removed the craft covering the criminal's face. She tried to calm him down. She talked to him. As he looked anxious, she assured him that nothing would happen to him. When she felt that the boy was no longer anxious, Hell reported that the journey to court could continue. When their car arrived in front of the court, journalists and citizens were lined up waiting for their arrival. There was a citizen trying to approach the police car when the policeman and the fugitive got out of the car. They quickly stopped him and asked him to leave. Hell tried to protect the fugitive from getting to court, but someone shot the fugitive in the head and he died on the spot. In the detention cell, there was someone who woke up because of the noise around his detention cell. He is Zed. He could be seen doing his activities as a prisoner, waking up early and going to the field. While he was playing chess, he saw a gang of prisoners disturbing a prisoner. He ignored it at first, but he approached them and invited the bullied prisoner to play chess. They both went to the chess table. Zaid advised the young man to follow the rules of the prison so that he could be okay here. Then the young man asked Zaid if anyone was waiting for him out there. Instead of answering, Zaid told the boy to continue his chess game. Later that evening, Zaid sat down to make a bird out of origami paper. There was also a picture of a little boy on his desk. The boy was Noah. Soon the warden told him that his father was visiting Zaid, but it turned out to be Hell who visited Zaid. Hell asked if Zaid knew Mutter. Mutter was the leader of the gangsters who recruited the young boys, but Zaid said that he didn't know him. He even asked what Hell had to do with asking Zaid that. Hell firmly said that she wanted to stop Mutter's actions. Hell makes an offer for Zaid to infiltrate Mutter's gang, and if successful, the police will release Zaid. But Zaid did not answer her offer. He says that he knows about the shooting that took place in front of the court. He says that the young man could have helped her, but Hell lost him. Then Hell asked if Zaid wanted to have a normal life like before. Hell added how much longer Zaid would miss living with his son, Noah. Without answering Hell's question, he stood up and went back to his cell. Zaid wrote a letter to Noah, wishing him a happy birthday, but he decided not to write it. He chose to sleep instead. But halfway through his sleep, the warden woke Zaid up. He invited Zaid to move to the prison cell. It turned out that Zaid was transferred to the gangster cell. He asked why he was moved to the holding cell. The warden did not answer him. When he entered his cell, he found the bird-shaped folded paper that he had made when Hell met him. On seeing that, Zaid could understand that he was transferred to the gangster cell to carry out a mission. In the morning, he is surprised by a gang of prisoners who enter his room. They took the picture of Noah that was taped to the wall. They mocked whether Noah was a girl or a boy. Zaid was annoyed when they mocked Noah's picture. He hit one of the prisoners, and eventually the gang left Zaid. Zaid called staying at night. He wanted to talk to Noah and wish him a happy birthday. Zaid tried to greet Noah, but Noah turned off his call. In the morning, Hell met Zaid in his prison cell. Zaid says if he agreed to the mission, he wanted his life back to the way it used to be. Hell seemed happy to hear Zaid's statement. She showed him the parole letter she had drawn up. Zaid can be free after he completes this mission. Then Hell explained how Zaid could sneak into the gangster led by Mutter through a deal. Zaid must first earn the honor of a deal. One day Zaid started the action. He beat up a gangster in the field. The next day, he was asked to meet Adil. Zaid and Adil talked about what happened yesterday when Zaid fought the prisoner. Zaid knew that Adil was in power there, but Zaid said that he also had a good relationship with the guards at the prison. They ended up working together. Zaid was ordered to beat the son of a prostitute in area cell 157. The next day, Zaid walked with Adil and his men. Then he met the young man he beat up in cell 157. It turned out that he was the boy with whom he had been playing chess. After that, Zaid was released from prison. He went to a high-rise building. He asked a young man named Diddy where the 23rd staircase was. It turned out that the building was where Zaid lived. After breathing fresh air from the balcony of his room, he went to an exhibition. Zaid met Stein, who worked there. He congratulated her on her pregnancy. Meanwhile, Stein did not expect that Zaid was free. Stein doesn't feel ready to meet Zaid. They argued. Zaid wanted to see Noah, but Stein said that Noah didn't miss Zaid as a father. Zaid still insisted on seeing Noah, until finally Stein allowed Zaid to see his son practicing soccer. At nightfall, she got a call from Jimmy. He told Zaid to meet him outside the building. Soon a car came and Zaid got in. Suddenly, Jimmy stopped the car. Someone grabbed his neck from behind. Jimmy said that he would keep an eye on Zaid, because he knew that Zaid was a doctor. Jimmy also added what was the purpose of a doctor wanting to be with Adil and his men. After that, Zaid was dropped off in the middle of the road by Jimmy. The next day, Zaid met Hel at an exhibition. He told her about Jimmy, who would continue to monitor him. Then Hel gave Zaid a microphone and GPS so that he could get enough information about Mutter. Hel assured him that only Zaid and Hel were aware of this plan. The police would assume that Zaid was a gangster. At nightfall, Jimmy picked Zaid up. He took him to a place. Jimmy checked Zaid's belongings before entering the room. There were Mutter and his men in the room. Then Zaid was told to operate on someone who was injured. Zaid asked everyone to leave the room because he needed peace. Jimmy was upset when he heard that. But Mutter ordered his men to leave according to Zaid's request. Meanwhile, Mutter wanted to stay in the room because the injured was his brother. Zaid succeeded in taking a bullet in the leg of Nashar, Mutter's brother. The next morning, Zaid visited Stein's house. He wanted to meet Noah. Unfortunately, Noah didn't recognize Zaid. He welcomed him as a guest. However, he did not despair. He came over to Noah and invited him to play together in the room. Then Zaid went with Mutter and his men. They met the man who had injured Nashar. After that, they went to Mutter's headquarters. Zaid was surprised to see Diddy at Mutter's headquarters. Diddy was a neighbor where Zaid lived. Zaid hesitantly approached him. He learned that Diddy was Mutter's spy in the apartment where Zaid lived. Zaid was assigned to pick up goods at the port. Before leaving, he put a tracking device in Mutter's car. When they arrived at the port, Jimmy warned Zaid to do the task properly and not to mess things up. But Zaid lost the goods he was going to hand over to Mutter because they were stolen by Boba's men, who injured Nashar. Then Zaid went to Boba's camp to retrieve Mutter's goods. Boba didn't want to hand it over, but Zaid had to take it back. Zaid managed to take it and returned to Mutter's camp. There he told him that Boba took Mutter's drugs, but Zaid was able to take them back. At first, Mutter did not believe Zaid's words, but Zaid managed to make Mutter believe him. Zaid even stated that Mutter could meet Boba at the club because he knew Boba was in a bad mood. The next day, Zaid met Noah and Stein on the beach. He had a casual conversation with Noah. In the middle of their conversation, Noah questioned whether Zaid was living in prison or if he had to go back to prison. He said that he would live here. Noah asked him what Zaid had done to land him in prison. Zaid was silent. After he met Noah, Zaid went to the library. He handed Hel a voice recording. The recording contained the voice messages of the last 14 days when he was with Mutter and his men. For a moment, he was silent and reflected on what he had done with Mutter. Then he told her that Noah had asked him about the crime that landed Zaid in prison. Hel assured Zaid that one day Noah would know that his father helped to stop the crime. Hel's explanation calmed Zaid down a little. At night, Zaid met Mutter. He was instructed to join Nashar and Diddy for a bigger job. They stopped by a shop and chatted for a while in the car. Hel was spotted spying on Zaid from afar. A few minutes later, 2 men fired at Zaid's car. Fortunately, Zaid and Diddy could save themselves while Nashar died after being shot. Zaid and Diddy ran towards the shop they came before. 2 gangsters chased them. But Hel also came along to help Zaid. Zaid decides to let Diddy out of the shop. Meanwhile, Zaid re-entered the shop to fight the gangsters, but it turns out that he actually met Hel. When Zaid and Hel were talking, Diddy saw him, but he pretended not to know. Zaid and Diddy returned to Mutter's camp. Zaid heard that one of Mutter's men told him that there was a GPS attached to Mutter's car. The men added that it was no coincidence when the incident at the shop immediately made the security police come. Zaid began to feel uneasy when he heard the conversation. He hurried to leave Mutter's place, but Mutter stopped Zaid from going home. He invited Zaid to go somewhere. They entered a building shaped like a garage. There Mutter tortured Razid. He asked if Razid had told Boba anything about the drug delivery that night. Razid admitted his guilt. He explained that Boba threatened to catch Razid's mother. Mutter then asked if he had installed the tracking device in his car, but Razid replied that he really didn't know that. Then Mutter told his men to take Razid away. Zaid meets Hel in the library. Zaid told her about Razid being accused of installing a tracking device in Mutter's car. He felt guilty about that. He even wanted to stop on the mission given by Hel. But Hel firmly replied that who would protect Zaid when he quit this mission. Surely Mutter can find Zaid's whereabouts, Hel added. The next day, Mutter met Diddy. He asked about the incident when Nashar was shot near the supermarket. Diddy initially did not tell him that he saw Zaid met with Hel. However, he was urged to tell something that he was hiding from Mutter. Diddy told him that Zaid met a policewoman, but she did not arrest Zaid. Mutter was silent like he couldn't believe it. Zaid and Noah were spending time together at the amusement park. They were playing and talking together. On the way home, a car suddenly shot at Zaid's car. However, Zaid escaped from the car's pursuit. They continued their way home until they finally arrived in front of Stein's house. Zaid told Noah that he needed to promise to remember that Zaid loved him wherever he was. Then he embraced and kissed Noah. After that, Zaid went back to his apartment carefully. He saw that his apartment was a mess. He also lost Noah's picture. Zaid immediately realized that it was Mutter's doing. Zaid told Hel about what happened to him and Noah, but not long after, Mutter's men caught Zaid. Mutter's men took Zaid to the place where Rashid had been tortured. Mutter called to say that he was going to visit Noah and Stein. Zaid begged him not to hurt Noah and Stein. After that, Jimmy got ready to beat Zaid, but Zaid got his hands untied. He defeated Jimmy and Mutter's other men. Zaid went to Mutter's base after recovering his condition. He wanted to see him, but he had to fight his men first. Soon he arrived at Mutter's room, but he was not there. Instead, Zaid met Diddy and other young people in the room. He told them to go home. Suddenly, Mutter appeared from behind him and shot Zaid in the leg. Diddy unexpectedly returned to come to Zaid, who was arguing with Mutter. Mutter was surprised to see Diddy pointing a gun at him. Zaid, however, managed to shoot Mutter to death. Then Diddy helped Zaid up, and they walked away from the camp. Zaid told Diddy to go home, while Zaid chose to sit and stare at Noah's photo for a moment. Soon Zaid heard the sound of police sirens coming towards Mutter's headquarters.